Welcome to section 3.5. We'll be talking about Markov chains. So our goal is to define Markov chains and to use diagonalization to study the steady states of a Markov chain. All right, so we'll start with a definition. 3.5.1, what is a Markov chain? So a Markov chain is a sequence, x1, x2, and so on, of events with the following properties. So the first thing we assume is that the events xi have m possible values called states. So those states are the same for each of the event. At each event, the odds that xi is in a certain state depends only on the state of xi minus 1, of just the previous one. That's it. All right, so let's look at an example. Assume that we want to follow how a voter votes from one election to the next. Assume that there are only two political parties, the Conservatives and the Liberals. The following diagram gives the probability of a voter changing from one party to another from one election to the next one. All right, so let's try to see how this fits the Markov chain definition. I want to know what are the events. So I would say x1 is how the voter votes in the first election, x2 how they vote in the second election, and so on. And the states are the values that each of these variables could take. So the states, there are only two. It could be liberals or conservative. So I have two states here. So M is 2. All right, so if a person votes conservative in one election, then what are the odds that they will vote liberals in the next one? All right, so they're currently conservative, and then we want to know what are the odds that they move to liberals. All right, so that's what this number says, right? There's 10% chance that somebody who votes conservative moves to the liberals, and they have 90% chance of staying conservative. All right, so let's write this as the probability that they go from conservative to liberal. We'll also write just P for probability, but that's going to be 10%, which means 0.1. All right, so what are the odds that a liberal voter this election will vote for the conservatives next election? So somebody that's a liberal, what are the odds that they move to the conservative in the next election? So P of liberals to conservative, that's given to us by the diagram. That's one of the pieces of data that we're actually just given. So that's 15%, which we'll write as 0.15 in 2 elections. That one's more interesting. So we have liberal something and then conservative. All right, so that's what we want. There are two possibilities. Either this middle one is liberal as well, or it's conservative. So these are disjoint as well, so we can just add them. They're separate. All right, so liberals to liberals, that's 85%, so 0.85. Liberal to conservative, we'd found it, that's, so liberal to liberal, liberal to conservative. So that's 0.15. And then the other possibility is that right away they go from liberal to conservative and then stay conservative. All right, so liberal to conservative, that's 15%. And then we have 90% conservative to conservative. And so all in all, what I get, sorry, I can't. Anyways, so I get 0.1275 plus 0.135, which gives me a probability of 5, that's 2, and 4, that's 6, and 2. So we have 26.25%. All right, so you can see right away that if we try to do more complicated prediction, like if we try to predict how somebody will vote 10 years down the 10 elections down the road, the diagram will be way too much. I'll have way too many possibilities, and so we don't want to do that. We want to use my algebra and matrix algebra to actually make it simpler. Right? And that's what we'll do in the next video.